Hi there, this is John Felix, or the Battlerite Profiler. First off, thanks again to everyone who've subscribed to the channel. It's really heartwarming to see more and more people press that button, so thank you. Another thing that I should say is that when I upload this video, I am 2 days away from having my second kid, which is awesome, but it does also mean that I don't know how soon I will be able to get my next profile done. I do have a couple lined up though, so it's just a matter of time before I'm back with more interviews. Alright, it's high time to dive into the mind of a world champion. I give you Battlerite Profile number 5 with Averse. Okay, so welcome to Battlerite Profile number 5. With us this time we have recent Season 1 World Champion of the BPL, Averse from Spacestation Gaming. Glad to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, honestly.
So, have you settled down after the big win at Dreamhack?
Yeah, feels like normal. Back home, all the traveling, all that. Oh, thank God, all that is done. That was way too much traveling. Most traveling I've done in a very long time. But yeah, I've settled down. Back to solo queue. Got number 1 on ladder back.
Great.
Feeling good.
Stream is back live. That feels good. Okay, I want to start off, before we get into the actual DreamHack tournament and the World Championship, I want to go back a bit. And
okay.
Am I right when I say that you used to be a challenger player in League of Legends before you started playing Battlerite?
A Riven one-trick top laner.
I've seen YouTube videos with titles, a lot of YouTube videos with titles that said that you were like the second best Riven in North America or something like that.
Yeah, that was mostly season 5, I think.
So not very long ago then. What
3 years, yeah.
What made you quit League of Legends then?
Actually got banned for elo boosting, and I didn't quit for a little bit after that. I played for a little bit more, then I was like, wow, this sucks. And then I think from then I moved to Blade and Soul, and then I went to Battlerite. I actually had a friend hit me up saying like, yo, check this game out, and I was like, sure, let's play together. And I played it, and then he only played it for that day, and then like when he woke up I was still playing, and I was like, yo, this game's sick. And then I kept playing it. That's how I got addicted.
All right. Were you ever like considering or trying to play at pro player level in League of Legends?
Oh, no. None at all. No.
All right. So what was it about Battlerite then that made you stick to the game when your friend left?
Yeah, it's like I think the appeal for it, the appeal of it for me was it's basically League, but without all the boring stuff like farming and CS. Just basically like a big team fight over and over, but like in a smaller variation of 2v2 and 3v3. Yeah, that's what I love the most in League, and that's like just the game. It's like skipping like everything, just going straight to that. I think that's what made me like really like the game.
All right. So you've played games before on a really high level, and how long have you been streaming regularly?
Oh, I'd say like for a year and some now. I used to stream back then in League, but not very often at all. It was kind of like sporadic. And then at the very start of Battlerite, I never streamed. I watched like Niwa, and I watched other streamers stream, and then I started gradually getting into it once I became good. Because at the very start, like most people don't know, but the first champion I ever mained and like people saw me on was Paloma. And then a little bit, that's the first champion I actually like got good with. And then once I think it was like around the period of like when I entered my first tournaments, that's when I started streaming Battlerite pretty consistently, when I started climbing on the leaderboards right then.
So was it because of watching like players like Niwa that you started off as a support main?
Oh, I'm actually not sure why I started playing Paloma. I think the very first champion I ever liked was Freya. And I don't know how I transitioned from Freya to Paloma, but once I found Paloma and once I started playing her, like I played like a really aggressive DPS Paloma, and that's like the only champion I wanted to play, and that's pretty much how I started. I'm not sure what got me on Paloma though, but oh, actually, it was a Warden. It was Warden. I was watching Warden streams. I don't know if you know what that is. He's like
No,
a really early. It was a really early Paloma one trick in Battlerite, but I think he quit the game a while ago. But he was one of the main top streamers on the very early stages of Battlerite, and that's how I got into Paloma. I saw him play it, and then I wanted to play Paloma. I remember now. That took a little bit of thinking.
All right, but now people kind of associate you with like either Taya or Jumong, I'd say. Like, which one of those would you say is your favorite champion? Do you have a favorite champion between those two?
Oh, definitely Taya. Yeah, it's always been Taya for a while. I have my ups and downs with her though, because sometimes playing her in solo queue makes me really just hate everything. But she's by far my favorite champion. Yeah.
What is it that you love about Taya?
I think she has the highest potential to outplay someone aside from Shifu. Out of all the ranged classes, she definitely by far the highest, or if not top 3. She just, the way she manipulates like movement with haste and dodging projectiles, and she's very vulnerable, but if you like play really well and like eliminate most of your vulnerability spots, people like get really frustrated because you feel so unstoppable. It's really nice. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let me see if I have your team history down correct, because like you said, around 1 year ago you started streaming, right? And that was around when you started playing in tournaments.
Correct.
And the first thing I know you played in was it called Project Vision?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with players called Outcast and Sketch. And then oh yeah, go on.
There were earlier stages to that if you want to include the 2v2 tournament scene. But if you're not including the 2v2 tournament scene, yeah, that's when I started in threes.
Okay. But if we are including the 2v2 tournaments, then where did you play before that?
The very first partner I had was Superstar Power, and I played with it was when I was a Paloma main, so very early on, and it was Baco Paloma, and we got absolutely destroyed, and we got eliminated, and I think I only entered one tournament with Paloma, and that was that tournament. But my first official 2v2 partner was Stro, which most people know me from. It was me and Stro, and then my first 3v3 team was, like you said, me, Outcast, and Sketch.
All right. And then you went on to Legendary with Arakune and Ninjas, right?
Correct, yeah.
And then to Overconfident that turned into SSG.
Correct.
Okay, so if we go back to the Project Vision days, because this is kind of before I started getting real hooked in the competitive scene, what tournaments did you play back then? Was it the Masters of Bacon tournament? That was the really early days of 3v3?
No, it was mostly CBR. I believe it was called CBR. It was a CBR 3v3 Open, something like that. That was crowdfunded on the Battlefly site. And then there were... I think back then there was I think it's ESL, right?
Yeah, there might have been some
ESL, there was like,
I know there's an ESL Battlerite Twitter and stuff like that, but I've never actually watched an ESL
that was
Battlerite.
very early on. I'm not sure why they left, but CBR and ESL were the first few tournaments.
There was something called, this was also something that I didn't watch, but I think there was something called like the BCS, like the Battlerite Community series or something like that.
Okay. There's actually been a few ones. This is ringing a couple of bells. I believe the BCS one was the one that got canceled like midway through the tournament. I believe. I could be wrong on that. There was like one that was like formatted to have like, it was like the first one that ever had like teams and you had to stay on that roster, and then they had like a whole like organized thing. It was like one of the better ones, and then they like canceled it in the first 2 games. I think that was the BCS. Could be wrong though.
Okay. Sounds great. So how would you say, like, from a player perspective, how was the competitive scene back then compared to now?
Are you talking about like 2v2 or just
No, I'm
3v3?
thinking the earlier days of 3v3 mainly.
Hmm. Competitive scene was mostly whatever team I played on, we ran at people with serious Shifu, and then whatever I played, and no
Mhm.
one knew how to beat it. It was just absolute, like the games were ending in like 20 seconds, like 10 seconds. Just people were just getting obliterated. I remember a lot of frustration, like mainly like Finland, Niwa, like those players just hating the game. I think because the
Mhm.
serious Shifu. I don't think a lot of people were too fond of that comp. That
I
was
still don't
most of the
think people
early
are
scene.
very fond of that
No,
combination.
no, very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but I remember talking to Bloom. One of the things that like put him on the map was that he subbed in for I think it was Niwa
Hmm.
in a team, and
Yeah.
they actually managed to beat you with Legendary.
Hmm. That's
What
that's great.
was it that they figured out about that?
I believe they beat us twice, and
Hmm.
this was they beat us twice, and then Arcane overslept a tourney, so we actually got 3 losses in a row over the course of those 3 weeks. And that was when everyone was like super annoyed, and but I think our games were gradually getting harder. Like they were getting closer and closer. They weren't just like 5-0 sweeps. And then, God, I have no idea what they beat us with, but I remember it being really frustrating. And I think we got like really like stomped. Like it was like a 5-2 or something, and we lost early on in the bracket. But yeah, those few weeks were terrible. Leading up to those weeks, there was like so much like controversy within the team, mostly between me and Arcane, because Ninjas never talks. So Ninjas is just a silent one. We're like two parents fighting, and Ninjas just sits there quietly. But yeah, but it just turmoil, and then Arcane overslept the tourney. I was like, all right, I'm out. And then I pieced out of that team,
Oh,
and then
really?
I actually didn't
I
even have a team lined up when I left that team,
hmm
which was the crazy part.
Interesting. I wanted to ask about that. Why Legendary disbanded? Since it was like it was the team to beat for quite some time in NA, right?
Yeah,
It was kind of what Overconfident turned into later. Was before that that was Legendary.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Um, mainly, mainly because of just like internal problems between the team. Mostly, actually not mostly, all of it between Arcane and I.
Hmm.
And then as soon as he started oversleeping tourneys, and it seemed like they didn't care as much, I just wanted out. Obviously, Ninja is not a part of that. He just played the game and did whatever. But yeah, that was mostly the reason. I believe like I believe Arcane overslept one tourney before, like it was like a month before that one,
Hmm.
and I was like, if we like miss another tourney because of that again, I'm just leaving. And then it happened again, and then I just ultimately decided to leave.
All right.
Mhm.
I'm I'm interested in Arakune a little bit because doing some research I read on your team and I found this interview with Arakune and uh, in on Battlecrank and I read that and just you get this sense that like the consensus from people around the scene watching the tournaments was that Arakune was a really toxic
Oh
player,
yeah.
and he kind of admitted to that as well in his interview. What, aside from the fact that you didn't get along as teammates at the end there, how would you, who actually played with Arakune, how would you describe him as a person or a player?
He's one of the players that out of the game, completely cool. I could hang out with him for hours on end, and we'd have a great time. In the game, just a whole different person. I mean, we were still chill every now and then, but as soon as one thing went wrong, or he, like, if I was playing bad or if someone was playing bad, you just hear it. You'd hear a lot of it. And that I've always told people that it wasn't that bad for me because if I'm playing bad and he's like, "Yo, you're playing terrible. Play better." I mean, that for me helps. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know it wouldn't help for some people, but to an extent, like
Yeah.
it just gets so bad sometimes. But like I said, out of the game, just perfectly cool. Like we watched shows together and stuff. We were good friends.
All right. Well, maybe it's good for you guys then that you're not on the same team anymore.
But yeah, it's for the best.
Do you think we'll see Arakune return to Battlerite? I mean, I have seen him on social media say that he's getting more interested in Battlerite again now that BPL is going on. Do you think we'll see him return?
Yeah, I think he saw like the stage and he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm coming back." So I'm not actually sure. I mean, I actually do it with him on stream yesterday, and we were just talking. We're on good terms now, but obviously there's like a little bit of hatred between us, mostly him towards me. But I believe we'll see him back as long as he can get a team. I mean, that's going to be the hardest part for him because all around the community, he's known as, you know,
Mr.
you don't want him
Toxicity.
on your team because he'll flame you. Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting to see if we get a return.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
Arakune then. All right, so Legendary was disbanded. You formed Overconfident with Bloom and Proster. What was it about Bloom and Proster that made you want to form a team with them?
The simple answer is because they beat us. But,
but if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah. I didn't even think they were like unbeatable or crazy because I don't think anyone knows this, but every tourney that Proster was like this. Proster came out of the blue. I don't even remember when Proster like started playing, but I just remember there was this guy we kept on going against in tourney, and he was like, "I'll beat you next time. I'll beat you next time." Like after every game, he's like, "GG, I'll beat you next time." And I would like joke at Arcade, like this kid's so annoying. like what is he saying? And then he finally beat us, and I just didn't hear the end of it. I think he messaged me right after he beat me, like GG smiley face or something like that. But I didn't even want to team with them. Like after I left Arcade, like because as soon as the day he overslept. I just left the team, like I said, without any plans. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do, and then I just saw that Bloom and Proster were like talking about their team, and I was like, I can just see if they want to play with me. And then I believe I asked one of them, and then they said they'd get back to me, and then they decided on the whole like kicking out Skywin thing to take me up. That's how. But yeah, simple answer is because they beat us, and they also played a similar style, I believe. Because Proster, I knew he could play melee as well, so I could just fill that range slot, and he could take over melee.
Yeah. When I talked to Bloom, he said that I asked about how come Overconfident were so dominant, like, and still when now that you turn into SSG, you're a world champion, so you kept going, you know. And I asked him what makes you so good as a team, and he said obviously we're three good players, but he also like emphasized the fact that you're actually quite good friends as well. Oh, yeah. You enjoy playing with each other and talking to each other, and you at the DreamHack tournament in a winner's interview said that it's one of the things that keeps you going, staying on top, is playing with these players and you wanting to play well for them. So I'm curious, how important is that personal relationship with your teammates to you?
I honestly think it's the sole reason that keeps me wanting to play, because I know there have been times in this game where I've just felt like I wanted to quit or felt like I didn't want to play, and the responsibility of just performing for a team and like not wanting to let people down is one of the main reasons I keep going and like keep playing with them. And just the friendship and like on the stage, I thought I would feel nervous, and like because especially like with the like camera in your face and like all like crowd and cheering, I didn't feel like 1 ounce of nervousness. Maybe in the Dolos game because I thought we might get eliminated because I didn't know how we stacked up against EU. That's when I felt nervous a little bit. But besides that, just being on the stage with them, like if you could see our comms, we were just laughing and joking the whole time. It makes it so much easier. Like I'm sure teams that don't have that are going to struggle, because that's just an extra kick, I guess, on top of like the competitive drive and stuff. So yeah, I think it's really important. It probably puts us a step above the rest. I don't believe there is another team in EU or NA that has like a really good friendship like in between the team. Maybe in EU, but I wouldn't say in NA.
would you say that like sense of responsibility of playing for your teammates and stuff, has that grown a little now that you're SSG? You're all sporting the same uniform. You're a part of a large organization.
I'm not sure if the org played a role, but definitely like the time span of us being a team, like from day one to where we are now, like just the time we've spent together playing other games like Realm and all this stuff, like playing together, it's definitely grown us like closer. Like we're all good friends. We all like know each other really well. We know what we get tilted by. We know like what picks we like. We just know a lot about each other now, and I think just the amount of time we've spent together is the main source of that. But I'm sure being under the same org has played a part in it.
All right. Was this LAN tournament the first time that you guys met in person?
Yeah. Well, we met at the New Jersey airport, the Newark airport on the layover, but yeah, if you consider that part of the LAN.
Well, a part of the LAN experience, I guess.
Yeah, part of the LAN experience, yeah. That is the first time we met, though.
One thing that Bloom also, or that became apparent when talking to Bloom, was that he's kind of in charge of the team when it comes to, at least when it comes to drafts and comps and stuff like that. Like he has a lot of say when it comes to that. Was it always like that from the beginning?
As far as I can remember, I used to do what Bloom does now. I used to do all of that on Team Legendary, because Arcane, I didn't want him doing it, and then just too quiet, too shy. So I was like, all right, I'll fill this role. And just me being like doing that for like what, 8 months, I was just like, all right, whoever wants to do it on this team, do it. Because I didn't want to do it, and I'm sure Proster feels the same way as me. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Bloom's surprisingly like really good at it. Like the banning, drafting, everything. That we call him Big Brain Bloom.
Big Brain Bloom. All right.
Big Brain.
So what does it take as a person to be good at that, right? Because everyone realizes that to be a pro player, you have to be really good at your skill shots and your team play and stuff like that you see in game. But I think we're going to see champion bans coming in, something that I know Bloom really calls for. He definitely wants that. And you ban maps and you pick comps and you try to counter pick. That's also a skill for a pro player, right? That different players have in different degrees.
That is.
How big of a part would you say that skill plays in and to how good your team is?
Huge. I think that skill alone is the sole reason Youngsung beat Impact at Dreamhack. Just being out, like the first game we saw, because you know how that game was streamed off stream, or it wasn't on stream. So we went backstage, like where they were playing it. We were just crowding around Impact, just watching their screens. And I remember the first game I saw Godolph, or sorry, Dizzler playing Destiny into, I think it was Pest Baco. It was Pest Baco Jumong, I think. I don't know the range. It was like Pest Baco Jumong or something. And those three champions just absolutely beat Destiny, and I was like, yep, they got outdrafted. And then that game just ended with a Youngsung win. Just like games like that, it doesn't matter how good you are on Destiny, you're at a huge disadvantage. And I think that's one of the strong suits of Youngsung, and the drafting plays a huge part. When players are all on like equal playing fields, drafting is what puts you above. Like if you can get just a small advantage over someone in the matchups, it's huge. Like it can pretty much decide the game.
Yeah, and Youngsung came into group stage showing that they are very flexible with what they can play and what they can pick, right?
Yeah, they are the most annoying team to draft against by far. By far.
But on that flexibility note, you had to pick up, when you came into playoffs, you had to pick up Iva, since the Brook Older Iva comp was like, if you want to win, this is what you play, basically.
Yeah.
And that is not a character in the game that we associate with the name Averse. A character that's so like utility focused.
Yeah.
How big of a change or how big of a challenge was it for you to adapt to playing Iva?
Oh, it was terrible. I think it took me 2 days or 3 days, and the only reason it took so short is because uh, when I was playing Iva and we were practicing in scrims, I I always just like my mentality with aggressive ranges. I focus my abilities on me and my and where I position
Hmm.
and what benefits me. So this whole like having a shield to help out my teammates stuff I wasn't really familiar with it. So all the shields I was putting on myself, and you just hear in comms Bloom shouting at me saying shield proster, shield proster. And eventually it just kicked in and kicked in, and I started like playing around that, and I became the utility range they needed. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was mainly Bloom. Honestly, I would not have been able to learn it that fast if I didn't have Bloom yelling in my ear.
Sometimes you
So
need a whip.
yeah.
All right. Um, I wanna sidetrack a little and talk about something else that we see a lot from you, which is the game Osu. If we
Okay.
watch on a verse stream, we see you play a lot of Osu in queue times and
Yeah.
stuff like that. If the queues are bad, we can actually
Yeah.
see more Osu gameplay
Oh,
than Battlerite gameplay on an Averse
100%.
stream.
Mhm.
And the first thing that I saw of you hanging out backstage at the DreamHack tournament was you sitting across the desk where I had my cameras and stuff. And when I walked around to go out to watch the game in the crowd, I turned over and you were sitting there by yourself playing Osu backstage on one of the PCs. So I'm thinking, is Osu just a fun game for you, or is it something more, considering how
Oh.
much you play that game?
So I've talked to good OC players, and the whole thing about improving mouse accuracy, I'm sure it plays a tiny part, but I don't think it's as big as what people make it out to be. But for me and the way I use it, it's just such a huge confidence booster. Like if I played like a hard map and I get like really good ac and I do my mouse movement really well, that for me is like, okay, I'm gonna go into this game. These guys stand no chance versus me. I'm not gonna miss anything, and that's what makes me want to play it before game. That's why I did it at DreamHack,
Mm-hmm.
because if I just feel myself in Osu, I play so much better, and that's the main reason why I like it. But yeah, also Osu is really fun for me, and obviously I like playing it with mouse because it helps with my mouse ac. Even though it might not help too much, it just helps me mentally. I think it's like a placebo effect, right?
Yeah, well, sometimes that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so Battlerite. Oh, sorry, I hit the mic there. Battlerite is your job now. You're like signed by SSG. I think you get a paycheck for playing the game, and you're streaming it very regularly. So I'm curious, when you're not practicing or streaming or playing tournaments, what do you do when you just want to relax or have fun now that something that started out as a hobby has become a job?
Um, Honestly, nowadays it's if I'm ever not streaming or not playing, I'm either one spending time with my girlfriend, or I'm I'm that's pretty much all I'm doing. I mean, I either stream or I spend time with Viv. That's that's what I do. Don't think there's any games I play off stream. There was like a phase where I played Realm Royale and like Dauntless. Now it's Realm Royale,
Mm-hmm.
but before it was like Dauntless, and now in the middle I'm kind of playing like Stardew. I just like kind of relax and play other games. There's also TV shows. I finished The Walking Dead, so
Okay. Did you like it?
yeah, I really liked it. It was good.
All right, I might finish that. I've seen a bunch, but not all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back into the LAN tournament, because you just won the whole thing. So that's very interesting to talk about. But first of all, you were here in Sweden and picked up that trophy. How did you like what you saw out of Sweden as a country?
Oh, it's beautiful. Like we were actually like joking about it on the plane when Bloom and I we were looking down. It was just all grass, like all green fields and forests. We are like, what is this place? But when we were there. I'm actually so surprised. It's definitely the nice. Stockholm is definitely the nicest place I've ever been in. Like just being able to like walk down the street and get free Wi-Fi just anywhere, and it's like holy crap, this should be in America everywhere. But I'd say Stockholm is the nicest place I've ever been in. And Sweden as a whole is just a beautiful place. It was a really nice experience.
So you're hoping next LAN will be in Sweden as well? Or would you like to see a LAN on home soil?
Yeah, home soil. Home soil.
All right. So, having played at LAN now and played all the other regions, how much of a motivator was it to actually be able to play out this EU versus NA rivalry that everyone keeps talking about?
Oh, it was huge. That was the whole reason I wanted to go. All these people saying like EU is better than NA, NA sucks. I was just like, all right, let's see, and then we went to LAN. No, I wanted to do. I just wanted to like go into every EU stream and type NA better than EU straight away. But yeah, it was amazing, and seeing like the South American players, like how good they are. I'm sure that was a huge motivator, not only for us, but like for EU players, and like just seeing them, it's gonna make a lot of people want to play and get better, which is really good for the game.
Yeah, what would you say made Red Canids do so well at this tournament? Because I've seen some people now after the tournament just chalk it down to the element as a prize and say like, as soon as Impact figured out how to beat them, everybody beat them, you know?
I think that is one of the main reasons, is because their comp, specifically their double support comp, the Blossom Older one, Blossom Older Thorn, that comp we have never played versus once. So knowing what to pick, we had an idea, but we never played Thorn. And when we played Jumong, it wasn't versus the right comp. We just Thorn Jumong is the answer. If they ever want to play that again, that's what you play into it, and it's gonna be like fairly easy as long as you play good. But just to their credit, it's not just the comp. Their players are extremely good. Like even we noticed it with like Proster's counters. He was like, "Wow, these guys don't hit my counters. What?" Like just they're good players, man. And not only that, just the element of surprise with their comp. It was really tough. Like that series, those double 4-5s, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. All right. So, do you think if we get Red Canids at next LAN, do you think they'll be up there in the top 3 region again, or are they figured out?
They'll 100% be top 3. I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna have different comps lined up and they're gonna play different things, but if they just run that same comp, maybe not top 3, but I'm sure they'll play other stuff.
I talked to Akbo backstage, did an interview with him, and an interesting thing that he said is that they actually don't believe that Battlerite is a comp-based game, which is kind of canon, I would say, among other players, that it is a comp-based game, and that the way I understood it is that they want to go for comfort picks, right? Have 1 or 2 or 3 champions that you play really, really well, and then you just play those champions and not care as much how well they work together as a composition. Do you think there is some strength to that? Because I take it you don't agree that Battlerite is not a comp-based game.
No, I don't agree. I'm sure a lot of players will say the same thing, that this game at its core, when every player is on an equal playing field, whatever team has the advantage in comps will win. Like maybe if one player is underperforming and just spaces in and it dies, maybe there's a little alteration in that, but for the majority, the comp is going to win out. And I think like a good look at that, not to discredit Youngsung, all their players are amazing, but like when you could just see their matchups, like just watching, like if you looked at their comp and looked at the Impact's comp, you could just see like, oh, Youngsung's gonna win that game. Like just looking at their comp, it's like, yeah, it's a comp-based game.
All right. So that grand finals versus you and Impact, I saw most of that from the crowd, and it was a really intense match to watch. It's been the second day of 2 quite long days, and I'd still say we got to see some top quality Battlerite from both teams. What was going through your head in the final round?
When I died.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, because you died first, and then there was Prosper and Bloom, just playing out the rest. Did you say anything in comms, or were you just watching, crossing your fingers?
Oh, I put my head down. I thought that round was over. I put my head down, and then I heard my comms. They were like, "Keep going, keep going," and I looked up and watched the screen. Man, I felt like crap after that. I felt my heart sink because I have this weird tendency, like if I get really into the zone and I'm focused on one person. I believe Proster said like someone has no cooldowns, and I was walking to get the green orbs, and then I just turned around for some reason. I just got attracted to the free kill, and I never looked at my HP bar. I was like 2 HP, and then I got pulled and I got one shot. I was like, oh crap. So yeah, I don't think anything was going through my head. Pretty brainless play, but teammates can't believe they actually clutched that out. It was it's pretty insane. I honestly, as soon as I saw old Jumong, I was like, oh, they lost. But Proster kept on following, and I was like, wow, what the? It's crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy ending. It's almost scripted, right? how dramatic the ending to that series was. How thrown off were you about the Rukon pick in the grand final series? Because I have not seen like a single Rukon in the entire season of BPL, I think.
I didn't even know Vig played Rukon, to be honest. So
I personally, I'm just a pleb, you know, watching from the sidelines, but I think his Rukon looked really good.
Yeah, it was by far the best Rukon I've ever played. Just the amount he plays like an NA melee in the sense that he just runs at you as soon as his punish window's up, dips out. That's exactly like how most NA melee players play, aside from like rare peep and whatnot. But yeah, when we were in comms, when we got 5-0'd, when I was playing Jumong against Rukon, I just told them in comms I cannot play Jumong into his Rukon, because it was just like I spaced the grab, or he walked up to me. I remember there was most of these rounds, how they went is he would walk up to me, consume, and then I'd have to space the silence M1. As soon as I space it, pull back in, and then I had no cooldowns, and he just whacked on me for 4 seconds. And then as soon as I had my cooldowns up, he R'd out. Just over and over. It was so like oppressive. And then you had Dizzler over there just on Jumong, just beating our backline into the dust. It was, yeah, we needed a comp switch really badly after that. I think I played Iva after that, and then Rukon became easy. Iva bodies Rukon, so that felt really good.
So you're glad you learned Iva now, then? I guess. Yeah. I think I've heard people say that people kind of compare Impact to SSG in a way, or at least Impact, that they play a bit more like NA teams do.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
That they're more aggressive.
Aggressive, and they don't give you an inch, and if you slip up, they capitalize on it. It's basically how we play. Yeah.
So I'm still interested in hearing your thoughts on Dizzler, since he's probably one of the best Jumong players in the world, and the same can definitely be said for you. Can you see a difference in how you and Dizzler play the champion?
Honestly, I personally think the best Jumong besides me is Proster, which is weird because he's on my own team and he plays melee. So, but we all play the same. It's just oppressive Jumong. You try to, if like Rukon's charging M2 at you or Jade charging snipe, you try to dodge it with movement. You don't try and dodge it with abilities. That's how Dizzler plays. That's how Proster plays. That's how I play. It's very hard at you Jumong style. Whereas most Jumong players you'll see are playing passive double rain, passive double rain. But yeah, the style we play is very similar. But I still think Proster is the best Jumong besides me. Actually, fun fact, at the LAN cafe after DreamHack, Proster beat me 5-3 on Jumong Mirror on one ping. But I beat him 5-3 on Tiamare, so I'm all good. Yeah.
All right. You'll have to go Shifu next time.
Oh no, I get 5-0.
All right. So before we end, I'm interested now that you've faced all these players at LAN. There's no speculation anymore. There's no ping involved. You've already put the nail in the coffin in the EU versus NA rivalry. I mean, we're gonna have to wait until December or November to see if we can knock you off that throne over here from EU. But if you can't name an SSG player, now that you've played the top players in the world, who would you say is the best player in the world outside of SSG? Vague?
Vague.
Why?
His ability to play melee and range. Big respect from me, because that has been me on melee is terrible, and I might pick it up here and then after watching Vague, but just the way he plays both. I've seen his Destiny, I've seen his Rukon, I've seen his I think he plays Varish too. I've seen all of his champions.
Yeah, he plays Varish, yeah.
They're all really just top notch. So you can play all these melee lineups, you can play these range lineups, and I think he plays also off rolls to older if his team needs it. But
yeah,
really
that might. There was one game, wasn't it against you, where Godoff played Jamila?
Oh yeah, that was Vague on older.
So that must have been Vague on older then, right? Yeah. Yeah, so they're quite flexible there too. Up until that game, it feels like if they want to play a Thorn comp, Vague has to go ranged because Disler plays their Thorn, right?
Disler's their Thorn, yeah.
But I don't think Disler, you never see him on any other melee than Thorn, I think.
I think that's true. I think he just plays Thorn. It's weird. Like the Godoff only plays Jamila if he off rolls, and the Disler only plays Thorn if he off rolls.
And so, Vague goes wherever the team needs him to go, basically. So yeah,
it's like how did they get to doing that? Like, it's weird.
I guess that's a luxury you have of having a guy like Vague then, who can play so many different champions.
Play whatever you want. Yeah.
So after having played then Youngsung and seen how good they did in group stages of BPLs with all the different comps they could play, and you saying now that maybe you should pick up playing melee, do you think there's a chance we'll see Space Station Gaming not being as set in their roles? Like Bloom is support, Proster is melee, and you are the ranged.
Probably see us switching up a bit, mainly because I don't know if most people know, but Proster actually plays Ashka, Esmo, Taya, Juma. So if I ever learn melees, he can just play those 4 off the bat. So I mean, he fills all the ranges I don't play, because I don't play Ashka or Esmo. I pretty much learned every other range. Oh, I don't play Alicia either, which he plays. So any of the ranges I don't play, I switch role, he can play. I was thinking about that, but yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean,
is there a champion you're extra excited to try out in an off role?
I like Shifu, but Shifu is such in a terrible spot right now, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
All right. So if you can pick an SSG player as kind of an ending note to this interview, if you can pick an SSG player, who is the best player in the world?
Who's the best player in the world? Oof. That's such a hard answer because all of us are so good on our roles. God, I want to say, if you're talking strictly in-game, I want to say Procer. But if you're talking like drafting and bans included and everything, like I definitely say Bloom. Like my opinion goes straight to Bloom. But if we're talking strictly in-game, Proster going from the 90 ping he usually plays to 0 was, wow, it was as good as I expected it to be. I told him before like we got, as soon as we arrived in Orlando, I was like, you're either gonna play super terrible or you're gonna play like the best player I've ever seen. So let's see. And then he played like the best player I've ever seen on melee. So.
I think In the Flesh kind of ended his ending thought on the cast after that final was that he thinks that Proster might be the best player in the world.
Yeah, he's insane. I I would say I'm the best, but the fact that he can switch to range and play melee just makes me think, yeah, just take it. I mean, he's crazy, man. He's actually crazy.
All right. So we're looking forward to season 2 now. You're already scrimming, I guess. What can we expect from Space Station Gaming now that season 1 is officially in the bank and the trophy is in the bag?
I think since we already know and like we solidified our spot as like the best team, we're definitely gonna try and experiment with stuff. Have a few pocket picks just in case they're like, oh, SSG plays this, we'll just play that, and then they'll be like, oh, what? So we're gonna try and I'm gonna try and learn a different role. Undecided what that's gonna be, or if Proster's gonna do it. One of us should be able to switch up by the next LAN, and we're gonna experiment with double range. We're gonna experiment with a lot of stuff. We'll see. We'll see what works out best. We've already tried doing some of it in scrims. We've been playing some Farish Destiny, but we'll see what counts. Obviously, the meta's gonna change and stuff's gonna change. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, picking your brain about you as a player and Space Station Gaming and just Battlerite esports as a whole. So, before we end this, if someone hasn't seen you before, which probably is unlikely, but still, if someone hasn't done that and thinks, I want to watch more of this Averse guy, where can they find you?
I mean, my main spot to find me is my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Averse. Should just be Averse, yeah. And then I believe my Twitter is AverseHD, so twitter.com/AverseHD. Those are the main 2 spots you're gonna find me. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, NA's better than EU, dude.
It's an undisputable truth until LAN Season 3.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and congratulations on being the best team in the world after Season 1.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, honestly.